It's the way to get it started. Thank you. Welcome and thank you for your attendance at this important conversation regarding the hospitality and tourism industries here in Philadelphia. My name is Joe Massaro, and I'm the President and CEO of the Pennsylvania Restaurant and Lodging Association. I'm honored to welcome you today, along with Visit Philadelphia's President and CEO, Angela Val. There you go. The Angela Fan Club, that's terrific. In my role representing the hospitality industry statewide, I've had the pleasure of visiting every part of the Commonwealth, as well as other destinations nationally. I can say the hospitality and tourism leadership in your beautiful city ranks among the very best. The combined impact of our presenting partners, Visit Philadelphia, Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau, Philadelphia Visitor Center Corporation, Philadelphia Convention Center Authority, Greater Philadelphia Hotel Association, and the Philadelphia chapter of the Pennsylvania Restaurant and Lodging Association is one envied nationally. It was through this collaboration and the great work of all of our teams, Zach, Maria, Cassie, and the entire teams of all of our organizations that helped put today's event together. So we thank all the teams very much. We would like to thank 6ABC for agreeing to be our media partner and for moderating this evening. And of course, we wish to thank each of the mayoral candidates who agreed to be with us this evening. I am eager to hear your thoughts and plans for helping to advance the hospitality economy in Pennsylvania. As you know, with the effects of the pandemic, inflation, safety concerns, and so many other challenges our hospitality businesses face today, your leadership will be crucial in improving the health of this important part of our economy. Research shows for every 100 rooms occupied in Pennsylvania in a hotel, 137 direct jobs are created and an additional 104 indirect jobs are made possible. For every dollar spent in a Pennsylvania restaurant, $2.12 is contributed to the state economy and 21 jobs are created. Every dollar invested in PA's tourism generates $4.47 in local and state taxes and $65 in additional visitor spending. In Philadelphia, the impact is even greater. Not only do the residents of this first-class city get to enjoy the amenities of great restaurants, premium hotels, attractions, museums, historic sites, and more, thanks to the leadership and expertise of our presenting partners, nonprofit community, private business owners and staff, and public servants, millions of visitors annually do the same. I'd like to now turn things over to Angela to share some thoughts on behalf of Visit Philadelphia and our other presenting partners. Angela?
Thank you, Joe. And thank you all for being here tonight to hear from our mayoral candidates regarding their agendas for the tourism and hospitality industry. In 2022, Philadelphia County welcomed 24 million visitors who spent over $4 billion in our shops, restaurants, hotels, and cultural institutions. Last year, visitor spending generated over $6 billion in economic impact and $335 million in taxes for the city of Philadelphia. A portion of these visitor-generated tax dollars support tourism marketing and promotion efforts, spent well, by the way, and the remaining funds go back into the city's general funds, supporting critical city services and thereby lessening the overall tax burden for the citizens of Philadelphia. And while we have made great strides to recoup what we've lost during the pandemic, we still have work to do, and this year and the next mayoral term will be critical to our success. As we set our sights on the future, especially in the lead up to 2026, it's important now more than ever to ensure we're keeping the industry moving forward so our residents have consistent opportunities to work and earn a living for their families. And every single visitor who comes here feels like our city is the most welcoming place in the world. Right now, there are 68,600 hospitality-related jobs in Philadelphia, making our industry one of the largest and fastest-growing employment sectors in the city. We hope tonight's conversation helps all of the workers and voters in our industry better understand each candidate's position, their attention to issues that impact our ability to safely and enthusiastically welcome millions of visitors each year. Now I'm excited to introduce our award-nominated mediator, Sarah Bloomquist. She's the co-anchor of Action News at 12 noon and 4 p.m. on 6 ABC and has covered many major political conventions and events, including several inaugurations and large events like the Papal Visit and the DNC. Please join me in welcoming Sarah Bloomquist.
Thank you, Angela. Good evening, everyone. I am Sarah Bloomquist from 6 ABC. Man, you hospitality people, I asked for a soda, I got a soda. I asked for a chair, I get a chair. It's really great. Thank you for having me tonight. It's very impressive. Just snap my fingers and there it appears. I'm a longtime resident of the city of Philadelphia. I live here in the Center City area and have for about the last 21 years. My family and I take full advantage of this walkable city. We do everything, the museums, the restaurants, the parks. I love the city of Philadelphia and I love living here. So I'm very excited to join you tonight for this conversation about the opportunities, the challenges, the trends, and the concerns facing Philadelphia's hospitality and tourism communities. Tonight's conversation, in conjunction with 6 ABC, is presented by the Pennsylvania Restaurant and Lodging Association, the Pennsylvania Convention Center Authority, the Greater Philadelphia Hotel Association, Philadelphia Visitor Center Corporation, Visit Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau. I think we can all agree that a vibrant hospitality community and an exciting tourism scene are key ingredients for a world-class city. The issues impacting the hospitality industry and tourism industry are the same as those impacting residents' quality of life. I'd like to thank the Philadelphia Police Department, we have members here as well, for their service to residents, businesses, and visitors. And thank you for joining us tonight for this important conversation. We know this is a difficult time and we appreciate all that you do as well. At this point, I'd like to introduce our candidates for us tonight. We have Warren Bloom, David O, Derek Green, Allan Domb, Helen Gym, Jeff Brown, Cherelle Parker, Jimmy DeLeon, Rebecca Rhynhart, and Maria Quinones-Sanchez. The Mayoral Candidate Forum on Hospitality and Tourism is an unbiased and impartial event to hear candidates' plans on issues impacting the industry. The questions were curated from industry employees and these audience members. Each candidate was given a designated time, will be given a designated time to answer each question. The forum will be video recorded and is being live streamed on 6ABC and 6abc.com. We are keeping time with a countdown clock visible to me and visible to the candidates as well. We ask that the time limit for each question be respected so that each candidate has a fair opportunity to respond. Candidate seating has been chosen at random via a drawing that took place prior to tonight's forum. We will rotate the order throughout the evening in the order in which the candidates respond to the questions. So, what do you say? Let's get started. Question number 1. What is your long-term vision for the city of Philadelphia? And if you are elected, what are the top 3 priorities in your first term to work toward that vision? You'll have 1:30 to answer. We begin with Rebecca Rhynhart.
Good evening. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me and having this forum tonight. My name is Rebecca Rhynhart, and I'm running for mayor because I am the right person to lead Philadelphia forward in this critical moment. I've spent the last 15 years working for the city of Philadelphia, close to a decade for 2 mayors, and the last 5 as the independently elected city controller. My vision for this city is to make this city safer and cleaner so that the beauty of our city truly shines through. And I can use my knowledge of the city to make that happen. And my vision is for the youth to have opportunity, to truly lift our kids up through fixing our schools and creating job pipelines. And my vision is to have a best-in-class city government to support the world-class city that we are, so that our arts and culture, neighborhoods, restaurants can all thrive, because we are a wonderful, wonderful city. My top 3 priorities: number 1, get the crime and the violence down. We absolutely must make our city safer and get rid of the lawlessness that is here today. Of course, we have to have compassion for those who need it, but we need rules and consequences. That's number 1. 2, schools, and 3, clean the streets, improve city services. Thank you.
Rebecca, thank you. We move now to Maria Quinones-Sanchez. The same question, 1:30.
Thank you so very much, and good evening to everyone. The city will be built out over the next 10 years. What we do over the next 10 years will talk about who we are as a city, our values, and if we will become an equitable city for everyone. What would I do as mayor of the city of Philadelphia? We need to have an honest conversation about how we move this city forward and how we address some of the disinvestments that we have seen in the city. But we're a World Heritage City. Acknowledging that and leveraging our Center City core, our wonderful museums, but also helping neighborhoods brand themselves, look at the cultural and open spaces we have in the neighborhood and make sure that they're part of the vibrancy of this city. The next 10 years will determine who we are. I will run this city on a zero-based budget and require that every city department asks itself, what am I doing about anti-poverty? What am I doing about public safety? What am I doing about an inclusion and an economic plan for all? What's going to make this city safer is a citywide camera program. It is cleanliness. It is stabilizing vacant buildings. We know the next victim, and we know the next perpetrator, and we even know where the next incident is going to happen. So having focused deterrence, focusing in on the 10% of the people doing 90% of the crime is key. We can be a great city. There's nothing wrong in Philadelphia we can't fix if we work together. Thank you.
Maria, thank you. Warren Bloom.
Good evening, everybody. Actually, I don't need the microphone. I'm off here now. Again, thank you guys for having out. These things seem to change as days go by, but I'll tell you, life has to be first. Quality of life is number 1 thing what we do. This city has to be safe and secure. The first time I ran for office was 20 years ago. Where were you and how old were you? First time I ran for public office. I ran for voting commissioner at that time. Commerce. We have to increase commerce, if that's including, of course, lowering taxes for businesses to come here and thrive. Commerce and tourism is probably our greatest asset. So since it's the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, we're going to increase that. And job creation. That has to be actually very essential in order for us to thrive as a community. Just remember to do the right thing and vote for Bloom in the spring.
Thank you, Warren. Mr. Bloom. David O.
I think a great city is a city where people can and believe they can be the very best human being they aspire to be. In order to do that, we have to have a city that is, number 1, safe. No one should be in fear. How many people are planning to leave this city? Maybe not you, but we are a city of neighborhoods, which today seems more like a city of silos, where people live very differently with very different understanding of what their condition is, what their future is. Everywhere, the city must be safe. The second thing is they have to know that they can provide for themselves and have a good future for themselves, their family, and for their families. We want people to take root in this city. There has to be a very fair process. The disparity in this city that comes from government is one of the biggest problems we have. The school system the schools and neighborhoods, the responses, depending on where you live, where you catch the bus, where you get on the L. The disparity has to be evened out through a government that is paying attention to what people need. I think finally, the quality of life has to be one where whether you're rich or poor, wherever you live, you can enjoy the amenities that are around you and the people that are like-minded with you to have the best life possible.
David O., thank you. Derek Green.
So when I think about when I announced my campaign last year, I did it based on the fact that Philadelphians should expect more and deserve better from our city. And when I think about my three most important issues, in reference to public safety, education, economic development, those are all three areas I have exact lived experience, which make me uniquely qualified to be the next mayor of the city of Philadelphia. Being a former assistant district attorney who was once racially profiled while leaving the DA's office, I know we've got to really address public safety in our city. We need to do that through a reduction of gun violence in our city. 2,200 shootings last year, 74% of the victims and shooters look just like me. So in a green administration, we'll use presence, accountability, opportunity, and investment to drastically reduce the number of shootings in the city of Philadelphia from the very beginning. Also, I've taught in the school district. I was a teacher when I was in law school. My mother taught in the school district for 31 years, 26 years at Allan. So we need to radically change how our schools look. We need to make sure our young people believe we're investing in their future. And we also have to have economic development. As a former small business owner, I've seen the challenges in trying to grow a business. I know for those in this room who are in the hospitality industry and the challenge you've had to try to grow your business, especially coming out of COVID-19, we need to make sure you're going to have a partner in City Hall that has a lived experience, that understands those issues, because you as Philadelphians should expect more and deserve better from our city, and we'll do that in a green administration.
Derek Green, thank you. Allan Domb.
Good evening, everyone. In the next 10 years, I would say number one, right now, the biggest issue is we have a public safety crisis. We have an affordable housing crisis. We have a good paying jobs crisis. We have a poverty crisis and an education crisis. But the biggest crisis we have is a crisis of leadership, because all these can be solved with strong leadership. I'm looking at the organizations that are here today, whether it's the Convention Center or PRLA or the Hotel Association or Visit Philly or any of the other organizations. You have strong leadership, and that's why you're doing well. The Convention Center and Visitors Bureau too. Strong leadership. We need strong leadership in the city. As far as the violence is concerned, we know I have a 10-point public safety plan on my website, votedom.com. We know we need to focus on the most dangerous people on our streets, which former police commissioners and law enforcement people have advised me. It's between 1,700 and 1,800 people that we need to focus on. We know in the core of the city, in Center City, in 2022, we have to prosecute retail theft. Last year, 70% of the retail theft in Center City was committed by less than 30 people. We need to focus on prosecuting retail theft and taking also illegal gun violations. We need to prosecute illegal gun violations. In the big picture, over the next 10 years, education is going to play the biggest role, because we need to educate our young people for these good paying jobs. But I'll give you three goals that I will shoot for in the next 10 years. One, 100,000 new jobs in the city, 100,000 residents out of poverty, and 100,000 new residents coming into the city of Philadelphia.
Allan Domb, thank you. Helen Gym.
Good evening, everybody. I am running for mayor to finish a job I started almost 30 years ago. Back then, I was just a tough Philly mom who had to take on some of the biggest challenges here in the city. It meant that I wasn't going to accept broken systems of education, of housing, of jobs that were perpetuating poverty wages. I wanted to show that we could turn these things around. I made sure to go out and help organize. When I saw people in power giving up their hands, we made sure to step into those spaces, to organize with people, to build smart coalitions, and to build good policies that change things around. That's how we ended the state takeover of our public schools and put nurses and counselors back in. That's how I delivered clean water back to every single child, how we slashed evictions in our city by almost 70% in less than 5 years. I'm running for mayor to show people that we can actually make this change, that the things that hold us back are the old politics and the ideas that have kept too many people down. But now we have a mission to make sure that we're delivering on the transformative areas that make Philadelphia the most livable and best city in the country to raise your family and to build your future. So that means absolutely not only investing and making sure that we take on safety and reducing crime, but that we're uplifting people's actual health and well-being. I am invested in schools in making sure that every family has a promise here that their child will be educated, cared for, and they will go to a modern school. And I'm fighting for family-sustaining, quality jobs for every industry that reverses the tide on poverty and proves that this country is going to deliver on economic opportunity for everyone.
Jeff Brown.
Good evening. Can you hear me? We had a little mic trouble. I'm Jeff Brown. I'm running for mayor because I have never seen this city like this, and we are in need of substantial change. And I think the change needs to come from outside of government, someone who's going to be critical about all the decisions were made in the past and what got us to this boiling point. There are three things that are my priorities. Number one, help people out of poverty. This city's problems all emanate from excessive structural poverty that has only grown over my lifetime. There's no way we could advance this city and make things work with this number of people living in poverty. After all, we're the poorest big city in the country. To do that, we need to reform K through 12 education. I think there's two interventions. We need to rebuild our career and technical training. One of the elements would be hospitality. Train young people for hospitality jobs, train them for construction jobs and hardware repair, and so many other careers that pay so well without a college education. Number two is rebuild our schools. They're a wreck. A lot of them need to be knocked down and rebuilt. Modern schools, properly sized. We have half-empty buildings. We're spending our money on empty buildings and not children. The second thing is, if we miss the people in the schools, we better help them in the workforce system. And this is something I have a lot of experience in. I've hired 60,000 people in my career, and I can do the same thing for the city. And finally, fix our amenities, pick up the trash, fill the potholes. That's what we need to do.
Jeff Brown, thank you. Cherelle Parker.
Thank you. After speaking with many of you in this audience, I know you feel a lot like other Philadelphians, and that you want to see the CEO of your city, your mayor, address with a sense of urgency the challenges that are negatively impacting our quality of life. Under a Parker administration, I will be unapologetic about ensuring that we live in the safest, the cleanest, and the greenest big city in the nation that will provide access to economic opportunity for all. Cherelle, you're sitting with 10 to 11 other candidates. Why should we believe you? Because I'm the only candidate seated here who introduced a comprehensive neighborhood safety and community policing plan that called for putting 300 officers proactively engaged in community policing, walking the beat and riding bikes in our neighborhoods when others were shouting for us to defund the police. When we needed to make sure neighborhoods were cleaner, I wasn't an expert articulator of problems. I established a program called PHL, Taking Care of Business, that also planted trees. An economic opportunity for all. We're educating kids like we're still in an agrarian society. We're going to have year-long educational opportunities. Our kids will be trained for every industry thriving and growing, and I'll be unapologetic about making it happen.
Cherelle, thank you. Jimmy DeLeon.
Good evening. So my number one priority as mayor of Philadelphia would be to keep you, the citizens and people of Philadelphia, safe. In order to do this, I would first reduce gun violence, I would improve all of our schools, and I would bring good-paying jobs into the city for all of our citizens. Now, in order to reduce gun violence, I, as mayor, would declare all of the gun violence that we have as a dramatic incident. and I would operate what's known as a local incident management system, which is a set of processes and procedures that the city government would use to combat gun violence by enabling the necessary responders to work more effectively and efficiently to manage the root causes of gun violence. By putting this program in operation, I would be keeping you safe so that your schools would be better, your families would be better, you would have better paying jobs, and the city of Philadelphia would flourish. And I thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to question number 2. What role do you think the hospitality and tourism industry plays in the economic development of the city? And how would you support the growing number of jobs and businesses? You'll have 1:30 to answer. We begin with Derek Green.
So the hospitality and tourism industry play a vital role in the city of Philadelphia. As someone who's been elected as city council member, but also been a national leader of Democratic municipal officials and served on the executive committee of the National League of Cities, I see what other cities have done, but also remember what Philadelphia looked like when I came out of college from the University of Virginia and started my career as a small business lender at Meridian Bank. When Governor Rendell was then mayor, he created a lot of the entities that helped put the hospitality and tourism industry on the map. We've worked in that regard going forward and really brought a lot of conventions and opportunities here to the city of Philadelphia. But we lost that energy. We lost that perspective because we went to COVID-19. But coming out of the early part of the pandemic, we have not seen that same spirit and energy of really trying to bring those type of conventions and activities back. And you need leadership from the mayor's office. The fact that's not been happening. There are a lot of employees in the city of Philadelphia who've done a great job partnering with a lot of the organizations, but it takes leadership and leadership to realize that this industry is vital to the economic vitality of the city of Philadelphia, making sure we're doing things to grow all of the work that you're doing in the city of Philadelphia. It's very important. We have not seen the leadership that we need. We also haven't gone after the opportunities to bring those dollars into the city of Philadelphia. In a few years, we'll have the 250th anniversary of our nation. We are the birthplace of the city, of the nation, right here in the city of Philadelphia. We need the leadership that understands that perspective to make sure that this is a vital partner in the economic vitality of the city of Philadelphia. And as Derek Green as mayor, we'll make sure that happens.
Allan Domb.
Someone taught me a while ago that every job is 51% hospitality and 49% technical. Think about that. You go into a restaurant, you have a great meal, the server's not nice. You coming back? No. But you go in there and the server's great, the food's not so good, you're coming back. We need to change how the city treats not just the hospitality industry, but all industries. I asked in council back in March that we change how we even answer the phone to thank you for calling the city of Philadelphia. How may we help you? I'd institute hospitality training across the board. But more importantly, hospitality industry is an economic engine of the city of Philadelphia. It is huge. I'm a big supporter because it's an investment. It's not an expense. When the pandemic hit in April, my office, along with my chief of staff, Erin Santamore, called together a Zoom of all the restaurants, hotels, and gyms because tech was doing well, life sciences were doing well, lawyers were cleaning up because everybody had a problem. This was April of 2020, but hospitality was getting crushed. We called the Zoom, we had over 100 restaurants and hotels, and we asked all of you, what do you need to survive? And you told us you needed outdoor dining. And we passed the legislation along with my colleagues on council who supported it. It was very important to us to make sure this industry survives and prospers because most of your employees in the hotel industry, 80% live in the city. In the restaurant, it's probably 90%. They're Philadelphia residents. We wanted them to prosper and the owners also.
Allan Domb, thank you. Helen Gym.
So what I want to say is that this industry is in the business of joy, and that is a very important thing. It brings welcoming, joy, opportunities to lots of people. But one thing has been very clear. For the last 30 years, the public has supported this industry. A lot of the hotels, this convention center has been built with lots of public subsidies, it's been built with tremendous amounts of tax breaks, and it's been built with incentives. And that is largely because we expect this industry to be in the public interest. But one of the challenges that we've got is that the average wage within the hospitality industry is $24,000 a year, far below what is sustainable for most families. And in order for us to encourage more people to come in, we need to show that this industry is also growing, that is giving back, and that it is unionizing. In 1980, there were 100% of our hotels were fully unionized. Today, about a third of them are. And the difference is that a unionized hotel will see $22 an hour for a worker who is there, almost $45,000 a year, 3 times the minimum wage, and almost double what the current average income is for non-unionized work. If we are to go out there and tell our young people who are in dozens of pipeline programs in high schools all across the city of Philadelphia, that this job is for you, then I need to show them that this industry continues to collaborate, evolve, and to use its public subsidies to raise up the quality of life of all the residents, many of whom are women, many of our workers of whom are
Helen,
black and
thank
brown,
you.
and we can transform this city.
Jeff Brown.
I believe that hospitality and tourism is very critical to this city. Not only the direct jobs, which are fantastic, but this lifts up our restaurant industry, our small retail shops. This really drives the Philadelphia economy and should be treated as such. The other thing this does, especially with the convention center, it brings conventioneers from all over the world to see our beautiful city. I think that's very, very important. And one thing that people don't realize, when people are in an unfortunate situation and don't have a lot of skills, they got to start their career somewhere. And people start their career in fast food, the grocery business, and hospitality. And you can take that career wherever you want to. And what we should be doing as a city is we should be helping train our citizens so they can do even better in the hospitality industry. Let's not blame the industry for what Philadelphia messed up by not giving the young people the skills. And that's why career and technical education is very important, and hospitality should be one of the industries we focus on. The one last thing I want to say, I'm honored to serve on the Convention Center board for quite a long time, and this convention center is rocking. I mean, our schedule is full. I couldn't be more proud. And Allan Domb is right. We are working with world-class leaders in every part of hospitality and tourism. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Cherelle Parker.
Prior to leaving City Council, 41% of the $5.8 billion projected revenue expected to come into our city was generated through our wage tax and net profits tax. Only 14% of that revenue was projected to come from real estate taxes. Now, I want to suggest to each of you, there are some folks who think that we're living in a time of euphoria and we can hug our way through the challenges that our city is facing. And I'm going to sound like a broken record. If we don't take care of the core basics in our own house, such as making sure that we are safer and that we are cleaner, there won't be an hospitality and tourism industry needed to grow here in our city. We want to take people off of the poverty hamster wheel. We want to put them on a path to self-sufficiency, and we need your industry to grow. But if your mayor, if your city doesn't take care of its core functions, this industry cannot be expected to grow. I also want training, and I want training for those executive jobs. It's nothing more frustrating for me than having an industry, and the only place where it seems like black and brown people fit is on the front line and entry level. I want to see black and brown trained for the C-suite in the hospitality and tourism industry, and I want us making the tough decisions together in order to make it happen. You need a mayor who's not afraid to piss people off and make the tough decisions needed so that you can thrive.
Jimmy DeLeon.
As mayor, the way I look upon it is that we're in a partnership. The hospitality and tourism agencies and field and the mayor's office. You depend on me and I depend on you. What you depend on me is to keep the city safe. By me keeping the city safe, it means that you, the ambassadors for this city, will have a better feeling with the people that you come in contact with, where you can introduce them to everything that's good about coming into Philadelphia. Now, the city jammed you this year because you started to do very good with the outside dining. And the outside dining in reality is a draw to the city of Philadelphia because it reminds people of the European style, where you go in the back streets, the back alleys, and the streets where you can dine good and have good food. And then all of a sudden, they legislated you to the point where they took it away from you. Well, with me as mayor, we're going to put that back. You're going to have outside dining much more. And I'm going to support you with money because we have money that's left over from the American Rescue Plan, about $400 million a year. And out of that money, I'm going to put money into the hospitality and tourism field. So I thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Rebecca Rhynhart.
The hospitality industry is incredibly important to Philadelphia's economy. As mayor, I will make sure that the hospitality industry has a seat at the table as important decisions are made. I heard firsthand from many members of the hospitality and restaurant industry that they weren't in the conversation as decisions were made during the pandemic, decisions that deeply impacted many of you in the audience. As mayor, I will bring you in so that your voices are heard while decisions are made, whether they're health department decisions or revenue or L&I decisions. You will be part of the conversation. And my experience from being city controller, seeing the siloed nature of the departments, makes me the most capable one to come in on day one to break those silos down. And as mayor, I will work to improve the ease of doing business here in Philadelphia for small business and entrepreneurship. We need to lower the wage tax. We need to look at the business income and receipts tax. We need to look at it because we're one of only 4 cities that taxes gross receipts and profits. That discourages business growth. We need to do those things. And as mayor, I will take those steps to improve the business climate here in Philadelphia and to improve the hospitality climate. Thank you.
Rebecca Rhynhart, thank you. Maria Quinones-Sanchez.
Thank you. We're a World Heritage City. We're a day's drive from 75% of the population. We have an international airport. We have wonderful museums and an incredible dining scene. We got to get out of our way. We got to get out of the Philly shrug that we can't think bigger and bolder about what we're going to do to draw people in the city. This is about people visiting Philadelphia, the birthplace of America, and feeling like they're getting an experience that goes well beyond the core of Center City. It is about neighborhoods and branding, all of the ethnic groups that exist all over the city, the dining scene that exists all over the city. This is about people coming to Philadelphia, seeing our history, and then visiting our neighborhoods. When we look at other cities, whether it's Boston, Chicago, or other places, they have invested millions in the industry to brand neighborhoods, to diversify the business, and bring people here. Folks, we're going to grow this city to 2 million and have millions of more people visiting us if we get out of our way, if we bring together all of the different industries and say, how do we market ourselves? How do we build out this city in 2030? So in 2026, when we're celebrating our birthday, we feel like we're all rowing in one direction, that we're thinking as an international city, that we are being global, that we are accepting the diversity that exists in our city, and use that as
Maria,
the leverage
thank you.
and the tool to, thank you.
Thank you. Warren Bloom.
Again, the next mayor of the city is going to have to let the business owners, especially not only large, but small business owners, direct how business is going to thrive and grow in this city. The mayor can't do everything. He doesn't know everything. And if he's honest, he'll let the business leaders. I want to be in a more listening mode than telling everybody what I want to do. The business owners who are putting their sweat equity in and putting their families and lives on the line to make sure that they can eat and drink and make a profit, I want to simply help guide them through this difficult process. But I want the business owners in this city to help drive and how this business community is going to grow. I'm all ears. I'm here to help guide you, and I'll be that person for you.
Thank you. David O.
The hospitality and tourism industry is critical to Philadelphia and Philadelphia's future. It begins with a decision someone makes to come to our city, whether it's regionally, nationally, or internationally. And if they make that decision to come with their family, their spouse, their children, that's even more. The money that they spend from the time they arrive here to the time that they go to their hotel, or they go to the convention, the university, to the concert, whatever they're doing, how can we expand the desire to come to Philadelphia? We have some great things. We have the Liberty Bell, we have the Betsy Ross House, of course. We have sports, we have concerts, we have museums. How do we bring them in and give them the full gamut? And who are we reaching out to? How do we reach out to people in other parts of this country? And how do we reach out to people in other parts of the world? To what extent do we have to deal with SEPTA? How do we deal with our public transportation system to make it clean and safe? How do we deal with our airport, American Airlines, and our gates? What do we do in terms of marketing and promoting? And it's not just leisure, it's also professional. It's also when people are trying to do economic growth, when we're doing industry together. Come to Philadelphia for science, for innovation. All of those things are important to us, but we have to promote it and we have to have a very good plan to push this forward.
David, thank you. Moving on to question 3. In 2026, Philadelphia will host the FIFA World Cup, the MLB All-Star Game, and Philadelphia 250, celebrating the 250th anniversary of the founding of this nation. What does Philadelphia need to do to become a welcoming, safe, and clean city that's ready to host a record number of global visitors? It's a tall mountain to climb. Tell us as well how you would accomplish that. You have 1:30 again. Let's begin with Jeff Brown.
Thank you. The first thing is crime. We got to clean up the crime problem. We need 1,500 more police. We need technology, cameras and forensics, because we have 1,700 violent criminals we got to get off the street. We need to fix our lighting. We have a lot of really dark spots that don't feel safe. We need to fix our transit. The transit's a mess with drugs and crime. So these are problems we have. We also got trash everywhere. We got to clean this city up. So we really are not in good shape, and we had to be honest about our management capability. It's weak. If you ask anyone, we're the least prepared city for this. We have to get our act together. We are not managing this city professionally. We have major improvements to make to be ready for this. We're either going to look like an all-star in the world or we're going to really be embarrassed. Right now, our condition is embarrassing. We need a real manager here to clean this up.
Jeff Brown, thank you. Cherelle Parker.
Ensuring that we are the safest, cleanest, and greenest big city in the nation before a company comes is not like stocking supermarket shelves. In order to get this done, we need to implement Cherelle Parker's comprehensive neighborhood safety and community policing plan that I introduced Philadelphia before I announced that I was running for mayor. And I didn't need a mayoral poll to tell me that I didn't care if you were in a black neighborhood, a white neighborhood, your race, class, or socioeconomic status, that public safety was the #1 priority on the hearts and minds of Philadelphians. So we need to introduce that comprehensive plan. We also need to implement PHLTCB on steroids. That means that there should be no neighborhood in the city of Philadelphia that doesn't have what we have in Center City. Ambassadors, it's somebody's job to sweep up trash, to clean the islands, and to ensure that our neighborhood commercial quarters and neighborhoods across the city are clean, and we can get it done. And finally, we need to ensure that there is access to economic opportunity. I want the building trades. I want unions. I'm a pro-worker, pro-union Democrat, and I want to ensure that any additional economic opportunities that are generated from it, that our people get access to them, as well as training and opportunities to be in a union. Thank you.
Jimmy DeLeon.
In order for us to give a good face when these events are taking place, we have to have our citizens especially those that have been doing crimes, we've got to start making them into better people when we arrest them, so that when they are released, they will have a better chance of keeping their families safe and making sure that they're able to have their families make money. So one of the things that we're going to have to do is, when we arrest people for various crimes such as gun violence, we're going to have to give them mental health care. We're going to have to give them post-traumatic stress disorder. We're going to have to give them job counseling. We're going to have to give them whatever it is that they need in order to recover them, because we have to make them feel better to their families. And by making them feel better to their families, that's going to make the neighborhoods they're from a better neighborhood. Now, making our neighborhoods better is going to mean that when we have people from other countries come to Philadelphia, they'll see a better people. And by having a better people, we will raise ourselves where we will give a better face for the world to see.
Jimmy, thank you. Rebecca Rhynhart.
So we have an amazing city that we need to show off in 2026. In order to do that, though, we have to make our city safer and cleaner. I put forth my public safety plan several weeks ago, and it builds upon the work that I did as city controller. As city controller, I looked at what works to get the violence down in other cities, and I reported out on this starting in 2019. Intervention strategies focused on those most likely to shoot or be shot. Programs like group violence intervention, cognitive behavior therapy, and cure violence that Oakland and New Orleans have used and gotten 25 to 50% reductions in homicides. I called on Mayor Kenney to do that since 2019. And all of you in the audience probably know that I've gotten in a few fights with the mayor over his lack of urgency around gun violence. As mayor, I would implement those programs on day one. I would open the Emergency Activation Center, coordinating the response from the police department, as well as other departments such as streets to fix the street lighting. And I would pull the DA and police commissioner together to crack down on illegal guns. The police have their work to do, and the DA has to work on getting that conviction rate back up. It went from 65% to 42%. Everyone has work to do, and I will lead it. Thank you.
Maria Quinones-Sanchez.
Thank you. The next mayor has to believe that we're a great city. You can't start off by saying, I want to be a leader of a city, and then talk like the people working in a bad system are to blame. This is a lack of leadership. We have a city workforce that works extremely hard, but we have institutional racism within our departments that have led to the underfunding and the bad pay for workers. Everybody talks about trash, but we have the lowest paid sanitation workers of any major city. Their starting salary is $38,000, and if you have 2 children, you're already eligible for food stamps. And the department is 96% African American. So we need to have an honest conversation about what kind of city we're gonna have, how we invest in our workforce so that they feel proud about the work that they're doing and the services that they're providing, that we're giving them the adequate equipment. We don't have a citywide camera program. We don't have a Center City camera program. We don't have a plan for sanitation beyond what Center City District does. There are many things that a mayor needs to do, but beating up on our employees is not one of them. We have to invest in them. And that's why you need a mayor that understands that good policy and investment in our workforce is going to make people proud of being in public service. And look, safety is key. But how we build out the city makes the city safe. Yes, we need police reforms, and I believe, and you should look at mariaforphilly.com, the most comprehensive public safety strategy. What is it? Infrastructure.
Maria, thank you.
How we build out the city. Thank you.
Warren Bloom.
So far, this is the easiest question of the night, so I'm gonna have to educate the rest of the candidates. This, you know, I visited Atlanta. I haven't been there in a number of years, but I try to think of Atlanta as like a model of what Philadelphia could be. But This is a logistics issue. The only reason why isn't Philadelphia a world-class city right now? Does anybody know? We simply don't have enough hotel space. Everybody say hotel space. We have to build more hotel and accommodate people that can visit our great city. This has been an issue for years and years, and I don't know why people can't figure it out. We need simply more hotel space so we can accommodate the people in here so they can be here. Safety, I'm the only block captain in here, so I'm about clean streets, and public safety is everyone's responsibility. But to make a long story short, the short answer to this, business owners, help me build more hotel space in this city. Will you please? Thank you very much.
Thank you. David O.
Yeah, with such large events coming up in our future, with the anticipation that we will draw a lot of visitors to our city, it is important that before they arrive, before they think about where in the United States they're going to go when they arrived in Philadelphia, that they have a very positive image of what they see about our city. Of course, we have to telegraph through action that resonates not only with people who want to come here, but people who live here right now. They want to see what we're doing that is different from what was done before. So there has to be a visible policing. There has to be visible reforms that police are now responding intelligently to citizens with knowledge and courtesy, that they are acting intelligently with the technology that is a force multiplier, that they are obeying the law and following the law when they interact with people, so that they are peacekeepers and deterrents to crime. We do have to clean up this city. That has to be something that we do, and when we do it, along with repairing the roads and fixing neighborhoods and making safe spaces, we're lifting the spirits of people who feel very neglected in our city. Our city has to be one where the morale is increasing because of good jobs, good opportunities, good education that people feel is directed towards them,
David O,
and
thank
it
you.
hasn't in the past.
Derek Green.
So, Sarah, your question was about, are we as a city prepared for the 250th anniversary when all these major events are coming to the city of Philadelphia and the entire world is looking at us? Atlanta was mentioned. I remember what Atlanta looked like in the mid-'80s when we had the Atlanta child murders and residents of Atlanta wanted to leave Atlanta. We just had a recent census. A number of Philadelphians have left Philadelphia to go to Atlanta. It happened in Atlanta because of leadership. Maynard Jackson had a vision to bring the Olympics to Atlanta, and that occurred. When we look at what happened here in the city of Philadelphia in the early 90s, Ed Rendell as mayor had a vision and leadership on how we're going to improve our city, and the city became a bustling entity, not only for economic development, but for this industry of hospitality and tourism. It's ultimately about leadership, having a mayor who understands the perspective that we can do this. This is the birthplace of this nation. We're going to have the 250th anniversary right here in Philadelphia. This city started a lot of the innovations around the globe. Somehow we have forgotten who we are, but I believe in the citizens in the city of Philadelphia and the people in this room that we are up to the challenge to make sure that we are going to be a shining city for the world to see, because we are the city of Philadelphia. We've done so many things. We've even gotten through a pandemic before. We can get through this by working together collectively. But it starts with leadership, just like Maynard Jackson had leadership to bring the Olympics to Atlanta, and now Atlanta's at a state that many people did not think it would become. That's what we'll do here in Philadelphia.
Allan Domb.
Thank you. First, I just want to address the world-class city statement, and I know we're a World Heritage City, okay? And in my mind, I feel we are a world-class city, and I'll tell you why. There's no other city I want to live in than Philadelphia in the world. And we are a world-class city, and I would tell everyone, as mayor, you have to be the biggest cheerleader, the biggest supporter. You have to be out there every day supporting Philadelphia and making it the best it can be. And with as many of my colleagues up here had mentioned, I'm 100% on board. It's got to be safe. It's got to be clean. But on day one, I will have a hospitality cabinet consisting of all the hospitality entities we've discussed tonight, and arts and culture, and the police department, to talk about how we're going to handle the 250th anniversary, but also to talk about how we're going to handle the day-to-day operations. I'll conduct the meetings myself. I'll do the same with law enforcement. I'll do the same with, I've done it with life sciences, I've done it with tech. I want to be in the mix. I want to help everyone advance the city. And hospitality is so important, so important. Think about it. During the pandemic, the only fun people had was eating outside. Think about that. We had no fun. We created the fun. I thank all of you in that hospitality industry for doing that, because that was the only fun we had. And right now, today, in every neighborhood, it's hospitality, it's restaurants that are the anchors of every neighborhood. It's not stores, it's restaurants. Very important industry for us.
Allan Domb, thank you. Helen Gym.
Thank you very much. One of the best things about all these events coming in is that it's company coming over, and the first thing that you do is you invest in yourself. You invest in the quality and the life of Philadelphians who are here. It means that we are cleaning and greening all parts of our communities, all parts of our city, in part because there are hundreds of thousands of people who will come in all throughout Philadelphia. It won't just be in Center City. It's the more urgent reason why we need to invest in parks and in our thoroughfares, in green spaces, and making sure that we're cleaning throughout Philadelphia and ensuring that the city services go out. I want to be very clear. We should be investing in our own capacity to do all of that. And I think, it was said very clearly that when we have 1 out of 7 vacancies here in the city of Philadelphia, we're inspiring people to come in and build the work that delivers this opportunity for people and especially our own residents to enjoy it. I want to emphasize we have assets. A modern transit system is core to our investments and to move people through Philadelphia as they're traveling, but it's also an investment in everyday people to really be able to have that connected city. I want to emphasize the arts and culture, because that is the vital thing that draws people in, that makes us excited, that brings us joy, and creates and taps into the uniqueness of Philadelphia's character. And then finally, if all these folks are coming in, let this be an investment in our future. So in our workers, in our young people,
Helen, thank you.
all this opportunity that we can see for them to sustain beyond the events.
Okay. Now we're going to have a little bit of a mix-up here. It's time for a quick round of questions. This is like the lightning round. Very briefly, one word, if possible. Could you please describe what you believe to be the future of outdoor dining in the city of Philadelphia? What word would you use? Let's begin with Jimmy DeLeon.
It's going to happen.
Okay. Rebecca.
Love it.
Maria.
Every neighborhood.
Warren Bloom.
Wonderful.
David O.
Growing.
Derek Green.
Vibrant.
Allan Domb.
Robust across the city.
Helen Gym.
Also robust everywhere in every neighborhood.
Jeff Brown.
We have to be action-oriented to get this done.
Cherelle Parker.
Permanent.
All right. Question number, the next in our lightning round here, in our quick round. In about one sentence, what are your thoughts around temporary street closures to allow restaurants and businesses to use those streets, to use city corridors for things like festivals and special events? Helen Gym, we begin with you.
I support it.
I want to add someone in charge of arts, culture, and fun, and I want to do this all the time. This should be the funnest city in the world.
Cherelle.
Home to the West Oak Lane Jazz Festival. Essential community must be engaged.
Jimmy DeLeon.
We have to do that again.
Rebecca Rhynhart.
I support street closures, but we also as a city need to work on traffic management.
Maria Quinones-Sanchez.
In every neighborhood, Chicago does it. Chicago 77, every neighborhood.
Warren Bloom.
Yes, we have Dune Day festivals and other important dates throughout the year that we have to close off traffic to accommodate the situation, absolutely.
David O.
Yeah, I support it.
Derek Green.
I support it because it brings community together and something that's vibrant in our city.
Allan Domb.
Totally support it, because we're the herb, when you think about it, of the suburbs. They're the sub of us. We are the herb.
There you go. Okay, third quick round session. In 30 seconds or less, do you approve of the sweetened beverage tax? Let's begin with Maria Quinones-Sanchez.
I have voted against it. It's a regressive tax, and if the only solution we have is to tax poor people to say we're going to do right by them, that's not good budgeting.
Warren Bloom.
No way, Jose.
David O.
Yeah, I voted against it, and I introduced a bill to rescind it. It is a tax upon the poor, charging them for what they're already taxed on.
Derek Green.
I supported the activity of the sugar and sweetened beverage tax, but I did vote for it.
Allan Domb.
I voted for it, but put in a resolution asking the administration to do an elasticity study showing that if we lowered the tax, can we still get the same revenue and same jobs back in the city, which we should do. And in retrospect, it should have been funded out of the general fund. Pre-K should be a general fund, not a sin tax.
Helen Gym.
So I support it, and because it funds pre-K, because it funds the rebuilding of our parks, recreation centers, libraries, and many other spaces, and I'm very clear that 100% of the money should go towards those efforts as well.
Jeff Brown.
I think it's a rotten tax. It attacks the poor. I don't like the tax. I don't know that we can rescind it because of our financial circumstances, but I hate the tax.
Cherelle Parker.
Yes, and until we can find another recurring revenue source to fund pre-K community schools, the rebuilding of parks, rec centers, and libraries in a city with one of the oldest infrastructures, particularly as it relates to our public amenities. You look at a school, you look at a recreation center in the suburbs, and for me, Montgomery County, and you look at Philadelphia, and we should be ashamed. Until we get additional revenue,
Thank
yes,
you.
I do.
Jimmy DeLeon.
As long as that tax is supporting pre-K and parks and recreations, a mayor would be beside himself if he did not support it, without having another stream of taxes that would take care of what that tax takes care of. So until there's another source of income, I support it.
Rebecca Rhynhart.
I supported the soda tax because I support pre-K, community schools, and rebuild. But my work as city controller exposed that less than 50% of the money actually goes to those three things. I pushed the mayor to move the money into a separate account so that all of it went towards the three things. He did not do that. As mayor, I would make sure that 100% of the money is going to where it's supposed to go and that we're transparent with the people.
Okay, moving on to our next question. A wave of retail theft, I believe this is from the audience, it's very specific. A wave of retail theft has caused businesses to close and put basic items under lock and key. Police report that many of these crimes are committed by repeat offenders. How will you work with law enforcement, Philadelphia Police, the district attorney, to ensure these crimes impacting businesses are properly prosecuted? You will have 1 minute. Warren Bloom, we begin with you.
I tell you, I will be the toughest mayor on crime because I simply won't tolerate it. We can't tolerate it. It's unsustainable. It's important that businesses have opportunity to thrive and feel safe in this city. I will be the toughest mayor on crime that you've ever seen, and I also have to work with the judges to make sure they impose stiff enough sentences to make people think twice before they commit a crime here in Philadelphia.
All right. David O.
There are two people responsible. One is the mayor, who is in charge of the police. The police are told not to act when someone is doing retail theft. The second is the district attorney, who has publicly said he's not prosecuting anyone who is stealing less than $500 worth of items. This message that is being sent is what's causing young people to go in, maybe for fun or otherwise, to go in and steal things. And that's problematic. The mayor has to start enforcing the law, and that the mayor can do with the police force. In terms of the district attorney, certainly encourage the district attorney to start making an example to deter this type of thing. But if not, I believe that the mayor of Philadelphia can do certain levels of prosecution through civil fines, and also which include prosecution, and also through the deputizing of the law department in order to prosecute certain criminal acts.
David O., thank you. Derek Green.
So I released a public safety plan based on the fact we need presence, accountability, opportunity, and investment. Now, I also said in my public safety plan we'll have a new police commissioner because we need to aggressively go after these crimes that are occurring in the city of Philadelphia. We know it's a small number of people who are doing the retail thefts, so we have to address it. Now, we also have to have a very real conversation with our district attorney. As a former prosecutor, I've had very strong conversations with Larry Krasner. When he first got elected, I was on his transition team. I supported his conviction integrity unit and also bail reform. But we also have to make sure that we are going after these type of issues in a real way, but also giving people an opportunity to get out of the criminal justice system and using programs like Focus Deterrence and The Choice is Yours. But we need to have a conversation similar to what happened in New York with Mayor Adams and also Alvin Bragg. Say we've got to work together. Then we've got to go into a back room and have a real conversation about the issues that are impacting small business owners who feel they cannot operate their business. That's what will happen in the Green administration.
Allan Domb.
Thank you. You know, I think I mentioned earlier in Center City 2022, retail theft, all retail theft, 70% was committed by less than 30 people. You talk about repeat offenders. There's your stat. When I was on council in August of 21, I reached out to the police commissioner, the DA, U.S. Attorney, Attorney General, FBI, ATF, and the courts, and organized my own public safety meetings. We had 9 of them, I believe, every 3-4 weeks. And I brought people together to solve the crime issue. Day one as mayor, I'll have that public safety cabinet in place. I'll conduct the meetings myself on a weekly basis. I don't care if it's an hour, 2 hours, or 5 hours. There's nothing more important than bringing all public safety together to work towards the goal of prosecuting retail theft, going after illegal gun violations, and taking the most dangerous people in our city off the streets. We need to do those things first so we can do everything else.
Allan Domb, thank you. Helen Gym.
So I want to make it clear that the number of people who are involved are also very young. They tend to be young people under, certainly many of them can be under the age of 18, some of them can be 30 and under. For individuals, we want to have a clear message out that we will not tolerate crime at all. And so that has got to be a consistent message with the district attorney, the police department, and the mayor's office. There should not be a question about whether we take this seriously, whether we prosecute. But once we do, there needs to be some serious programming supports that go out to young people, particularly those who are in repeat situations. If we know that there are 30 individuals who are primarily responsible, then what is actually the plan that we have developed to reach many of them? Because we seriously do not have one. And so I've spent much of my time, my youth anti-violence agenda is focused on dealing with young people who are in the path of violence, getting them the help and support that they need, making sure their parents are part of the solution, and reconnecting them back with the family, mental health, education, and family support services that they will need to avoid further problems.
Jeff Brown.
So I spent much of my career getting stores into Philly, and other people did well. Getting stores for underserved neighborhoods, getting Wawas in Center City, and we are jeopardizing decades of work because of this policy. I will go after shoplifters. The police will focus on repeat offenders and gangs, rings that do this on purpose, like Allan Domb was saying. And I will have to sit down with our DA. And I have talked to him, and I explained to him, we're going to lose all our stores if we don't change this policy. If he doesn't change, I'll find another way to prosecute these criminals. This cannot happen in our city. We're losing all our stores.
Cherelle Parker.
Stabilizing neighborhood-based commercial quarters has been one of my passions since I was a staffer in city council. Until one knows what it's like to have to fill those vacancies and then to strongly encourage businesses that are competing with online retail that they should choose our neighborhoods, then you know what that's like. I shop in 5 Black women-owned boutiques on Germantown Avenue. If we allowed folks to go in their store on a daily basis and steal $499 worth of merchandise every day, I guarantee you they wouldn't be there for long. We're going to take it seriously. We're going to address it, but we're also going to use the convening power of the mayor's office to bring the district attorney, the police commissioner, the courts, and all other entities together. This is something we can do together. We just can't finger point while we're doing it, but we cannot tolerate it and act as if it's not destroying our local economies.
Cherelle Parker, thank you. Jimmy DeLeon.
I faced this situation before. When I was supervising judge, Paul Levy, who was in charge of the Center City District, came to myself and Judge Georgianne Dare about quality of life crimes that they were having right here in Center City. So what we did at that time was make the first community court to take care of quality of life crimes. Now, what's happening right now is that the district attorney has his policy, but no one has discussed it with him as far as the mayor's office and the court, the police, the district attorney. Those four entities need to sit down and discuss it, because if he has an issue with the term prosecute, then we come up with another term. But we open up community court again, and we go after those particular types of crimes, because those crimes do drive business away, and we don't want anything like that to happen.
Thank you. Rebecca Rhynhart.
So retail theft is a big issue, and it's part of a growing trend of overall lawlessness that we're seeing in our city that we need to take action to reverse. Not having penalties for shoplifting under $500 is something that I disagree with the district attorney on. And I think we need to make some changes. The job of the mayor is to bring the different parts of the criminal justice system together. So the DA, the courts, the police commissioner, to all row in the same direction. I would direct the police to arrest if the DA then prosecutes, and if the courts have good diversion programs so that people, young people, don't end up thrown in jail for longer than they need to be there. We can do this. We can have consequences with compassion. Thank you.
Maria Quinones-Sanchez.
Thank you. Again, go to mariaforphilly.com and you'll see the most comprehensive public safety plan that calls for a public dashboard. We need to have an honest conversation. I met with the DA's office around retail theft, and there is a retail task force that is working together. But this is about the police doing their job, the DA doing their jobs, and then bail commissioners and magistrates doing their jobs. When do we need to divert someone because they have other issues, homelessness, mental health, and when we need to prosecute someone because they're repeat offenders? The mayor can convene this. I would have an honest public discussion for folks, because I think the finger pointing is too easy as opposed to people knowing the truth.
Thank you. I got everybody on that one, right?
Yes.
Okay, moving on here. How would you simplify Philadelphia's rules and regulations around starting a business? You have 1 minute to answer. We begin with David O.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big obvious problems about Philadelphia. Many things have been said about it. One, streamline it, modernize it, put it online, make it convenient. All of those things should be done. They haven't been done, but a mayor can do that. We can make the process helpful. We can make it easily accessible online. We can create circumstances where people can navigate more simplified regulations that are beneficial to the startup businesses that we want to have. And I think there's many other ways that we can facilitate increased businesses. For example, we need to provide more services through the Commerce Department than less. And that's what happened over the last few years.
Derek Green.
So as a city, we have to realize that we are in the attraction and retention business. We need to attract constituents and retain companies, and do that in a way that's going to be very welcoming to bring people into the city of Philadelphia to grow a business. I'm a former small business owner, so I remember the issues and challenges of trying to get a business privilege license and a tax account and going to the base of the MSB and trying to deal with those issues. As a small business owner, you're the most proficient person in your business providing that good or service, but you don't have a partner in City Hall. We've got to change that mentality. We've got to change the mentality that we've got all these regulations that really inhibit your ability to grow your business. And I've seen too many small business owners get frustrated and they go outside the city of Philadelphia to Cheltenham Avenue or City Avenue because they can't grow their business in the city of Philadelphia. As part of my campaign, I'm going to a small business every single day because I've seen the issues and challenges, and we're not going to be able to grow our city and reduce crime if we cannot grow
Thank
small
you.
businesses in our city.
Allan Domb.
Thank you. You know, I mentioned this before, hospitality training across all agencies in the city government, all. But also, I also learned a valuable lesson when we did the hospitality outdoor dining, and all of you helped us with that. We put in the legislation, this was back in April of 2020, that the city had to approve it within 3 days. 800 plus restaurants applied, and the city pretty much complied within 3 days. And I learned a valuable lesson. Put timeframes in the legislation, but put timeframes in all the applications, put timeframes in everything that we do as a city. How to open a restaurant in 45 days, how to open a barber shop in 30 days. Put timeframes in all these applications because in the private sector, time is money. In the public sector, sometimes we don't respect it as much as we should. And we need to, and the outdoor dining was the best example. Over 860 applications were approved within 3 days. I give the city credit for that.
Allan Domb, thank you. Helen Gym.
So it's no surprise that Philadelphia lags the rest of the country in new startups and businesses, and there's no question that we've talked and wrung our hands over how serious it is for us to have a mayor who focuses solely on small, local businesses here within the city of Philadelphia. I've talked about how to make sure that we have economic business services hubs out in neighborhoods, making sure that we can streamline processes so that you don't have to come to City Hall, 5 different agencies, chasing things down for permitting, for paying your fines, for resolving disputes, for asking questions. We want to make sure that these things can go out into neighborhoods and communities. When I did it, when we were trying to do with rent assistance, it made a tremendous difference. It helped people understand complicated processes. But I'm also here to make sure that we have opportunity. We need to have opportunity funds and equity funds that are geared towards small, black and brown and local businesses here in Philadelphia, so we continue to grow and incentivize, not just create, clean up problems that exist already.
Jeff Brown.
So I work with a lot of small businesses, and of course, I've been a business person here. We are a very difficult city to do business. I think we have to massively simplify all our processes. Everything should be available in an online system that actually works. And I would like to appoint a czar or senior level person to work on process improvement. And one of the things I would like this person to do is meet with industry and find out what regulatory simplifications or changes would make it better for your business, would help you grow your business. I mean, I feel that this city, the businesses don't really have a seat at the table. I know over the years, I've had so many different meetings, and it doesn't seem like there's a big concern for our success. I want to change the thinking on that because our success is the success of our citizens as we grow and create more opportunities.
Cherelle Parker.
Web-based and app-based, and of course use more technology. It's a shame that we can know how far an Uber is away from our house, but we don't know where we are in the midst of getting a business permit or some kind of license. But in addition to that, we have to remember that all businesses, particularly the small ones, aren't created equal. We only need to look at who was able to access PPP loans during the midst of the pandemic. If you had the technical support, a lawyer, an accountant on staff, then you had the ability to complete whatever the paperwork was necessary in order to apply. I started a program with community college called Power Up Your Business that is now the chief feeder for Goldman Sachs' 10,000 small businesses. We want to make sure that that is available, and we want business service managers available on every commercial corridor in the city of Philadelphia so that businesses can work on innovation and growing, and we help them through bureaucracy.
Thank you. Jimmy DeLeon.
So that's the difference between legislators and myself coming from the judicial side. The legislators, they have like a lot of paperwork. As far as the judicial side, we just want to know the facts. Who, what, when, where, why, how. So that's the form. And by having that particular form, filling that out, it's going to tell you on there based on where you put as far as what and why, as to what type of permit you're going to have and where you're going to go to get that particular permit, so that you don't have to rush around everywhere. By doing a streamlined form, It'll make it easier for businesses to feel like they can come into Philadelphia and thrive as a business. So that's what I would do. I would streamline everything into who, what, when, where, why, and how.
Rebecca Rhynhart.
As mayor, I'll appoint a strong managing director to break down the silos because we have way too much red tape in city government. I've helped many business owners navigate the system, and it shouldn't be done in a one-off way like that. We have to fix the system. I also would appoint a senior official within my administration to help businesses navigate the system while we're fixing it overall. And then also, I want to mention that right now, only 3% of the metro area's businesses are Black-owned. We need to significantly increase the number of Black-owned businesses in our city. And as mayor, I will focus in on that, creating support in the way of technical support as well as equity. We need to think intentionally and strategically about the best way to grow Black wealth in our city and Black-owned business. I will do all those things as mayor.
Thank you. Maria Quinones-Sanchez.
Thank you. No one on this stage has done more around business tax reform than I have. I have proven my point. We have a $100,000 exemption that allows 73,000 small businesses, mostly Black and brown, operate without a city liability. I would eliminate the double taxation that we do on the first year startup for businesses. On your first year, we charge you your current year and a projection of the next year. In other words, the city cash flows itself on the backs of small businesses. Bad practice, I would eliminate it immediately. And then finally, streamline the regulatory issues. We have made departments become cash cows on permitting and licensing as opposed to streamlining and helping businesses start. And I would eliminate that from L&I, Health Center, and others. There's 150 steps to open up a food establishment. That is unnecessary. I would streamline that and make sure we would help small businesses grow.
Thank you. Warren Bloom.
I agree with everyone's assessment on how we can speed up starting minority small businesses, which lay the foundation of the larger business community. So I said I would hire Cherelle to help me do certain things because of her brilliance. And David, I've gotten a lot of good ideas from you. So listen, we all agree that we have to cut out the red tape, offer business tax incentives to small groups and women who have been largely affected by business starts up. So I'm for women's rights and women's getting started to do the things we need to do to make this city a very financially vibrant city.
All right, thank you. Another quick round here. Large zoning projects like the recent proposal for the new 76ers arena can impact both residents and the business community significantly. When navigating your role in those types of projects as mayor, what one or two words, briefly, do you say would describe your thinking and approach? Big projects, how do you deal with residents and the community? Cherelle, we begin with you, please.
Neighborhood inclusion and convening.
Jimmy DeLeon.
My administration is not here to infringe upon anybody's culture.
Rebecca Rhynhart.
As mayor, I would convene the business proposer, the neighborhood. We can make this work for everyone. That's the way I'll lead.
Maria Quinones-Sanchez.
Transparency and honesty about who benefits.
Warren Bloom.
They proposed perhaps building this facility in the Chinatown area. I would let the Chinese business community make that decision. Those residents there deserve respect and what's best for their community.
David O.
Yeah, I would put the facts forward, the architectural designs, the traffic studies, the financing, the parking, so that people are talking about the actual project, not an imagined project, which is what's happening right now.
Derek Green.
Sarah, I think you said 2 words.
Sure.
Inclusion and opportunity.
Excellent, thank you. Allan Domb.
I think you need to bring everyone together. Mayor has a lot of power, bringing them together for the result.
Helen Gym.
The goal is to grow Philadelphia, and that means through residents. I'm looking at how healthy neighborhoods are sustained and supported And the vibrancy of our city, and especially our downtown, really relies on a strong residential base that flows into our small businesses and supports our cities.
For us to succeed and take people out of poverty, we need to do big things. And that needs to drive our decisions. But we also have to listen to the neighbors. If the neighbors' problems can be addressed, we need to do big things, take people out of poverty.
All right, another quick question. I'm going to go right down the line here, starting with Mr. Bloom. The tip credits are a way for employers to include gratuity in minimum wage calculations. In 30 seconds or less, share whether you support the current law allowing the tip credit.
I supported the tip credit.
David O.
So as far as I can tell, there are certain positions that make very large tips. So I would need to know more about the issue. I don't feel I'm well informed about it.
Derek Green.
Yeah, my concern in reference to tip credit is making sure that consistently people are getting that higher amount based on tips. So I need to talk to both workers and employers to make sure and make a decision.
Allan Domb.
As prices in restaurants have moved up, so have the tips. I would support the tip credit.
Helen Gym.
I do not. It's $2.83 an hour for a worker with no guarantee about what the actual, final amount is. Every individual should be earning a family-sustaining living wage, and that should be fair across the board. And I think a lot of businesses will grow and prosper because of that.
Jeff Brown.
I'm for the tip credit, and some people in this field make a lot of money, $100,000, $150,000, we forget that. The only thing is that the state minimum wage is low. $7.25 is too low. This would work better with an increase in the minimum wage.
Cherelle Parker.
Increase the minimum wage throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Industry comes together to help us get it done, not us versus them. Don't forget that those tip credit recipients are primarily black and brown women, heads of households here in our city of Philadelphia. And if we want to put them on a path to self-sufficiency, we should be advocating together for them to do so.
Jimmy DeLeon.
I do not support the tip credit. The minimum wage should be the minimum standard. And why should a person have money taken away from them because they've given impeccable service?
Rebecca Rhynhart.
I do not support the tip credit. I think every worker should get a good wage. Tips should be extra.
Maria Quinones-Sanchez.
The same way businesses want predictability, employees deserve the same, right?
And Maria, we're going to stay with you for our next question, another short one. When you have company in town, where are you taking them? Which restaurant or tourist attraction? And very briefly, why?
So again, I talk about the neighborhoods. I was with a restaurant tour the other day, and I asked him, what's your favorite restaurant? And he said, Tío Pepe on Castor Avenue. That's where I go, a wonderful Portuguese restaurant with variations of ethnic food up on Castor Avenue in the Northeast.
Rebecca Rhynhart.
I'll give a shout out to Vernick, where I got married. And there's a few good restaurateurs in the audience here. We have Mission Taqueria, we have the Oyster House, we have Rosie's Taco Bar, and many others. Sorry, that was a little long. Apologies.
There are a lot of good places. Jimmy DeLeon.
I probably would take them to Sankey's Duck House.
Yeah, good choice. Okay, Cherelle Parker.
Raised by my grandparents, I want authenticity. Take me to the terminal and let it be the taste of Philadelphia, our diversity and everything about us.
Jeff Brown.
I see a number of my favorite restaurateurs in the audience, so I'm not going to get into like a family fight. But I'll tell you what, I'll take a roast pork sandwich at the Reading Terminal any day of the week.
Helen Gym.
Well, I take them to Chinatown, and I talk about a community that fought to keep it as one of the most vibrant neighborhoods in the country. It was not by accident. It was through a really vibrant way of holding on to small businesses, growing residents, and creating a vibrant cultural center in the heart of Philadelphia.
Allan Domb.
I think for a unique experience, I take him to the Polizzi Club in South Philadelphia.
David O. Oh, sorry, Derek. Go ahead, Derek Green.
So considering I love jazz music, I would take them to South so we can get food and dining and hospitality.
David O.
These days, I'm going to the Uzbek restaurants.
Cool. Warren Bloom.
The Sky High Restaurant, 19th and Race Arch. I think it's a marvel. It shows off our city, and please go there. The Sky High Restaurant. Shout out.
All right. Okay, our final question. Some recent mayors have been active cheerleaders, I would say publicly, for the hospitality industry and actively help market the city. Others work hard behind the scene to get projects approved, secure state funding, and needed support in city council. At the end of your first term, what would you like your reputation to be within Philadelphia's hospitality industry? You have 30 seconds to answer. Mr. Bloom, I begin with you.
A person who got it done, will continue to do it, and will make it better. Make it better, make it better.
David O.
Hard work's a given. That's behind the scenes. So certainly, in addition to the hard work behind the scenes, be a cheerleader, be upfront, be visible.
Derek Green.
It's not an either or question. You have to do the things here, but also be a cheerleader for the city and bring in dollars. That's why I was creative in bringing the Philadelphia Hospitality Levy to the city of Philadelphia as a way of bringing large events to the city with dedicated funding. And I will do that as mayor in a more creative way.
Allan Domb.
I would say I'd be the biggest cheerleader. I try to be a bigger cheerleader than Governor Rendell was, and I will say past performance is what you need to look at. During that pandemic, hospitality was crushed. I was your biggest cheerleader. We opened up 862 outdoor dining applications. Thousands of Philadelphia residents got jobs. I will always have the hospitality industry's back, always.
Helen Gym.
So I definitely think that the mayor should be out front supporting and highlighting the vibrancy of Philadelphia, making its attractiveness known, attracting new conventions, events. We're in the business of joy here, and I think that's one of the most important things. Also want to emphasize the importance of arts and culture to highlight the unique character of Philadelphia. Behind the scenes, I'm going to push the industry to do more. I've made it clear that this is an industry that needs to raise up the quality of wages, to support Black and brown workers, especially women who are here supporting the industry as well.
Jeff Brown.
So my friends tell me I'm a force of nature. I spring out of bed like you wouldn't believe. You'll get no bigger cheerleader. And when I help the hospitality industry, I help the whole city, because it affects everything we do. I'll be your biggest cheerleader, I'll be your partner.
Cherelle Parker.
No matter who's looking across the globe or in the nation and or our Commonwealth or our city, they're gonna say she's not only the mayor, but she's the cheerleader in chief for Philadelphia. In addition to that, they're also going to say, we know she's already unapologetic about fighting for this industry, because when third-party delivery services attempts to gouge this industry when it was in need of support and potentially closing, we stood up together, and we'll do the same.
Jimmy DeLeon.
I would like hospitality and tourism to look upon me in that first year as having been a transformational leader that had you think outside of the box on what was best to improve the industry and bring people to Philadelphia. And I would be the cheerleader with you, and we would all cheer together, because we would be making Philadelphia greater than it is, and we would be rising up. Thank you.
Rebecca Rhynhart.
A great mayor is both a cheerleader and doing the hard work behind the scenes. I'll be both. I'll be out there telling everyone how amazing Philly is, because it is amazing. And behind the scenes, I'll be calling the key stakeholders to get it done. I know who they are from being within the city system and also standing up for what's right, and I will get it done behind the scenes.
Maria Quinones-Sanchez.
Thank you. I would convene all of the members of the industry, including arts and culture and others, and bring us together on a common vision about how we make Philadelphia feel great and an entertaining spot to increase tourism throughout. But I will convene and come up with an annual plan that we can all agree to move us forward.
So that concludes tonight's forum on hospitality and tourism. Let's give all our candidates a round of applause. Warren Bloom, David O, Derek Green, Allan Domb, Helen Gym, Jeff Brown, Cherelle Parker, Jimmy DeLeon, Rebecca Rhynhart, Maria Quinones-Sanchez. The stage tonight full of candidates with different ideas on what Philadelphia will look like in the next 5 to 10 years. A productive conversation. We appreciate the candidates. Thank you for allowing me to moderate this very important discussion. With that, I want to turn things over to Greg Karen, President and CEO of the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Well, what an insightful and valuable evening we've had. First and foremost, I want to thank all of our candidates. Your very presence here tonight shows us how important our industry is and the people that work with it and the people that we serve that visit us from around the country and around the world. So again, a big hand for all of our candidates. Next, I want to thank one of my favorite anchors on 6ABC, Sarah Bloomquist, who I don't usually get. Usually when I stand this close, I have a remote in my hand, but I never do anything but just pause it so I don't miss a minute. Good. In case I have to run and get a snack. Also, let's thank 6ABC for streaming this live tonight and making it available on their website going forward. And last but certainly not least, and indicative of the closeness and the collaboration that you see within our industry, I want to thank all of my partners at the Greater Philadelphia Hotel Association, the Philadelphia Visitor Center Corporation, the Pennsylvania Restaurant and Lodging Association, Visit Philadelphia, and last but not least, our partners here at the Pennsylvania Convention Center Authority for hosting this event. And if you play your cards right, the evidence that a mayor who supports our industry gets supported, there's a plaque out in front of this room. We thank you for being here tonight in the Michael Nutter Theater at the state-owned, yeah, you can applaud for that. Here at the Pennsylvania Convention Center, there's no better venue that showcases what we do and how we host big events, but this is critical and a critical time for us, and we appreciate all of your presence here tonight. We invite all of our guests here with us tonight and our mayoral candidates to join us for some refreshments outside. Be safe. Thank you all for coming, and thanks again.